Hi there, it's Liz from Old Stables Crafts again. We're getting very near to the end of our 12 tags of Christmas. This is tag number 11. And this one's a bit of a kind of tongue-in-cheek fun little project. It's actually using one of the Hostess stamp sets. I was hesitant about using a Hostess stamp set, but then there are some of you who've probably got the stamp set, so we might as well embrace it and use it. You'll see that this is using on my favourite tag background again, but there are some interesting, well, hopefully interesting techniques I've used. So let's get started. So we are starting with a piece of thick Whisper White, and this is 2 inches by 4 1/4, which is 5 by 10.5 centimetres. As ever, the measurements and all the products that I'm using will be on the associated blog post, which is linked below. So don't worry too much about writing it all down. So it's scallop tag topper punch time again. So in, punch, and there we are. I love how simple that is, and for this time of the year, it's just brilliant. So the Project Life corner rounder from the back, just making sure that we are right into the corner, and there we are, that's that done. So I'm actually going to put that to one side for a moment because we've got some bits and pieces that we need to do that sort of need to be done before we build up the tag, but that at least is done. So we've got a couple of bits of just scrap Whisper White, and when I say scrap, you can see from this I really mean scrap. This one we are just going to stamp the edge of his hat, and for that I need the real red cardstock, and I'm just going to tap 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 on the edge, and then that just pops on that tiny bit of scrap, and that will get cleaned up. And that's that for that at the moment. Now this is the Hat Builder Punch. This I think is retiring. It's available at the moment, but I think it's retiring. So if you want it, now's the moment. So that just pops in there and punch. So that's that done. You can see why I used just a tiny little scrap. Then actually we're going to bring back the punch because our owl's hat, you'll see, is in the red glimmer, and then his baubles are actually the white glimmer with a little hint of wink of Stella. So we'll do the white bauble first, and again, tiny scrap from one of the projects earlier in the series, and we're just doing the little bauble and straight in, and because it's the glimmer paper, it's a bit tougher to punch, but there we are, that's that. I'll come back in with the wink of Stella in a minute. And then for this, we're just using, again, just trying to save as much of this as possible because it's so lovely. You don't want to use too much if you can avoid it. And there's our flying hat. So that's that punch used. Don't need that anymore. Let's get rid of the bits. Now, these we need to put together and sort of set to one side. So what I'm going to do is just run some multi-purpose, the Tombow glue along the edge here, just a little bit. I want a glue that's going to get into the glitter, but it will take a bit of a while to dry, which is why I wanted to get this done first, and then just a tiny touch on the end there, and then pop that on. And I'm going to set this to one side, and I'm going to put the block on top of it just to keep it weighted down. So that's that prepped, and we'll come in with the Wink of Stella in a bit. So bring in the stamping pad, or pierce mat, stamping pierce mat rather, and I'm now using the owl, so this one, and what I'm going to show you is how to do multicolour. Now, because this is a photopolymer stamp, actually I'm going to take that out of the way for a moment. Because this is a photopolymer stamp, when they're first manufactured, they are very, very shiny and very smooth, and they do ink up nicely, but sometimes you may find that the ink beads, and because I'm actually going to be using the Stampin' Right markers to do the multicolour inking, it beads even more. So all you need to do is take an ordinary white paper eraser and just rub over the stamp. I mean, I've prepped this already, but you just rub over the stamp, and then before you use it, you get your scrub, and I've already pre-sprayed that, just clean it off, and then it's ready to go. If you really struggle, you can use some of the embossing buddy, very small amount, just to give it a bit of a key, but only use a small amount, otherwise you can end up with it all looking a bit muddy, literally. So having done that, what we're going to do is take this is the Real Red marker, and just pick out his scarf, and he's actually got a bit of an Argyle jumper, or band across his front. So that's that one. And then, as some of you will know, my favourite soft suede, and I'm going to do pretty much the rest of him in soft suede. And you're just using the side of the marker, don't go in with the tip, and it's the thick brush end you're using. If you go in with the tip, you're going to damage the tip, and as these markers can last a lifetime, because you can just re-ink them, because as I've mentioned in previous videos, the re-inker for this is the same as the re-inker for the ink pad. So I have to say, I would always consider buying the re-inker as well as the ink pad, so that you've got it for re-inking in the future. And then particularly with the ink colours, obviously you're only going to be able to get the re-inker for a short while, so if you like the ink colour, then I would get the re-inker to go with it. And then early espresso for his feet. And that's that done. Actually, I might just go in and do his eyes. I know I've put soft suede on there already, but as this is a darker colour, it should be alright to go back in and just make his eyes a little bit darker. That may not work, we'll find out in a minute. And then we've got our piercing mat, because this is photopolymer, little scrap of Whisper White cardstock, and then just to make sure that this is properly working, just huff, breathe on it, and then give it a good bit of welly, because it is the marker rather than the ink pad that we're using. And there we are. So then let's bring in our Owl Builder punch, and then what I should probably have done is stamp this on the other side. So let us grab a post-it note, and you'll have seen me do this trick before. Let's just pop that there, and then we can feed it in. Oh, particularly if I put it at the top. We can feed it into our punch, and then punch him out. And just peel the little bits of post-it note off the back. Not that it really matters because we won't see them, but it's better for them not to be there than to be there. just in case they fall off later. Right, don't need any of that anymore. Keep him, get rid of those bits. And then, okay, so that's that done. I'll clean that up in a minute. You do need to make sure that you do a really good clean when you've used the markers, because the ink does tend to get into the bits. So what I now need is a piece of scrap paper, because we are going to, I've been using this for a while now, we're going to stamp the background for our tag. And again, we're using stamps from the Cozy Critters stamp set. Now, you could do this with your markers, but you do get a slightly better finish with the, well, a better finish with the ink pads. This is soft suede again. This is actually not quite the right size block for this, but this is a D block. We probably need a slightly larger one, but because it's going to go off the edge, I'm not too worried, so I'm not using the whole of the stamp, but get it nicely inked up, and then just have it so it's going off the edge of our tag. And I should probably have put this on the piercing mat, but it's fine. I've used this stamp set so much now that I know it's working well, so don't need that anymore. And then we're going to put in our parcel and our baubles. So we'll start with the parcel, and that we are going to pop again in real red, just so that it all coordinates, and that's going to pop down in the corner here. And then I'll just clean that off because I need the block again. Rather than getting ink all over me. So this is the Diddy little A block. It's useful to use a smaller block on these small stamps so that you don't end up rocking too much. And then because this is photopolymer, you can see where the branch is through the stamp, and you just want to line that up so that it's hanging from the branch. And there we are. And again, clean that up and pop that down, and we finish with the real red, so we can get rid of that and bring in Emerald Envy, which of course is one of our in colours. So if you want to keep this going past 2017, you're going to want to get the re-inker for that. And again, just tap, tap, tap. And again, looking through the stamp, those are all beautifully lined up. Right, so that's that ready. So we're now going to start building him up. So the first thing we're going to do is pop some dimensionals on his back. And as ever, they're hiding. Here we are. So just a couple of dimensionals on his back. And have him just there. And then hopefully by now our hat, yes, it looks as if it's pretty close to completely set. So we'll take one dimensional for the main bit, and then I'll just take a little bit just to give the end a bit more support than it would otherwise get, and just peel those off and pop his little hat on. And I'm rather than sticking it to him and then trying to, oh, I've got the dimensional on the back, the paper on the back. I find it easier to just put it all in situ, and then you've got a bit more wiggle room and you're not trying to stick small things to small things. And then in the original, I put a bit of the gold Wink of Stella on the bauble, which I will do again. I'm just putting a touch. I mean, you could use the gold glimmer card, but I think it's just a bit fun to have it with just a bit in the middle rather than completely gold. And you could add more Wink of Stella on if you want, and actually while I'm thinking of it, we might as well colour in his beak, and this is pumpkin pie. I didn't do this on the original, but as I've just spotted that I've got the marker on my desk. There we are. And obviously you could colour in any other bits you want with the markers. And you can see that the his eyes, where I put the early espresso rather than the soft suede, that has made it a bit darker. So that's that. Then just the last bit is to put some of this lovely stitched edge ribbon on. And let's just cut a piece off. And then all I'm going to do with that is feed it through. And rather than tying it or using any metallic thread or anything to tie it together, I'm actually going to use fast fuse, which works brilliantly at sticking ribbon together. So it's great if you just want it held in place without a big knot, so particularly on this thicker ribbon. There we are, and it's really quite tight, and if you hold it together nicely it sets well. And then I would actually stick this to the gift probably, and again, bit of fast fuse on the back there so that you can write on the back and still see who it's for, and then stick the ribbon onto the parcel with some fast fuse. And there we are. So there's the original and the one we've just made, and I think that's a really fun little project. So I hope you enjoyed that. Say today is number 11, so we've only got one more day. So I'm planning something a little different for the last one. It's a bit of a different project. So I hope you come back tomorrow and have a look at that. And if you enjoyed this, thumbs up. The link to the blog post is below in the description bar if you're watching this on YouTube. And that will have all the measurements and the products that I've used. If you want any of these products, obviously the stamp set you can only get with a qualifying order for the hostess gift. Otherwise you can use other stamp sets, and if you've already got the punch, then you could use something else with that. If you've enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up. I think I've said that. Subscribe if you want to see more. And say if you want any of the products, then either use the link in the YouTube information below, or hop over to my blog and you will find all the links there. I hope you're enjoying your build up to Christmas, and look forward to seeing you again tomorrow for the final episode of the 12 Tags of Christmas. Thank you very much.